Greetings, bloggers, vloggers, followers, and potters. Dustin here from Dustin's Dynasty. Today we're going to talk about obesity and autistics. Um, Specifically, many times adults on the spectrum were portrayed as being very healthy or not eating very much food, and sometimes we don't eat much food. Sometimes we stick to a palate, and of that palate is not so great foods. It's a lot of junk food. It's a lot of sugar loaded or fat loaded or carb loaded. So it's not always the greatest food. And sometimes if we don't eat enough or we eat too much, that can fluctuate where our weight goes. It can be the case, but it's very much that there's a higher percentage. And in a recent study, nearly 32% of the adolescents that they researched that were diagnosed with autism are classified as obese. It looked at 1,400 adolescents with a multitude of developmental disabilities. Oftentimes, autistics don't want to go outside, and that can be for a long time. I didn't want to go outside as a kid. I was stung by a bee once, and that just drove a lot of fear in me, and I didn't want to go outside. And one summer, I literally sat indoors all summer. I wouldn't do a thing outside. So and now I'm outside at least every day. But we'll get into that in a moment. Work. Why are they? Why are autistics comfortable being inside? Well, they're comfortable being in their element, or they have sensory issues with the outside world, and sometimes that can be a little too much, or being too cold, too hot, too wet, too dry. That there's multiple reasons. Too snowy. So I encourage anybody to do that. It isn't easy. Um, Oftentimes, we don't want to go outdoors, but it's not always true. I have been fighting this fight for 22 years. Many autistics are on medication, such as myself, to aid in the effects of autism, such as sleep, irritability, mood. So, those medicines typically cause a lot of weight gain. So that's a big factor in why too we gain weight. Besides not eating things that aren't so great for us and aren't the healthiest for us, so that can be a challenge. Um, it's just something that you have to take into consideration. Um, so I've been fighting, and I want to be outdoors now because I know that the benefits they outweigh the risk for me. I know that I need to get outside every day if I can. I've been going back to weight loss group for almost a month now, and I'm hearing that I need to be outside. I need to focus more on goals and setting goals and being out more. If it is even for 10, 15 minutes a day. I remember one day last week I was outside for 15 minutes, but it was too cold, and I had to come inside because it was too cold. But at least I went out. And then sometimes just going outside to take a phone call or going outside just to get a little fresh air never hurts anybody. Being cooped in is never good. Tends to lead to isolation, so on and so forth. Um, so it isn't easy, but I have been walking most days. My mom is my biggest cheerleader. I've been walking at least a mile every day. It's not easy. I'm on a flat trail surface, but it can be. It's still a challenge. If the weather is warmer, I will sit outside. If I can, we have places outside to sit here where I live, and sometimes I will go outside and sit. It wasn't easy to start, getting into the exercise routine again. And my mom is, I have to give her kudos because she is my biggest cheerleader. And it always encourages me to go further down the trail every day. Um, when starting, I didn't even think I could make it from the car to the main trail. But, we're up to now a few days, or we walk most days, a mile. For example, yesterday it was very cold. It was in the 40s. My mother says we could at least walk until we're in the 40s. It's in the 40s. It was in the low 40s yesterday, and we had walked almost over a mile each direction, and so we made a deal with ourselves We didn't want it to be an all or nothing sort of thing. We had to give a healthy compromise that we would walk half a mile down and half a mile back, and we did feel good after that. And we went faster at a mile, doing 1 mile as opposed to going slower and doing nearly two. So that was the compromise we made, and we burnt just as much or a little more calories than what we had previous days. Um, you know, it just it's something you have to do, and I would encourage anyone who needs to get healthy to do it in small doses. If you need to get outside, maybe walk around the block, or if you live in a town or a city, just go for little walks at a time, and then build up as you go along. Work your way outdoors too if you need to get outside, just to get outside. Work your way up in that regard. So with that, I thank you, and as always, like, follow, and subscribe on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok. Thank you, and have a nice day.